Greetings, everybody. I'm Larry Williams, the director of CARMA, the Consortium for the Advancement of Research Methods and Analysis, now hosted at the Rawls College of Business and Texas Tech. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to another CARMA quick chat. And today we're just delighted that our guest is Mo Wang. Mo is a Lanzalotti McKinnon Eminent Scholar and Chair and Full Professor at the University of Florida's Warrington College of Business. And we're going to take advantage of this opportunity to chat with him because he is scheduled to do a webcast with us in a few weeks on April the 8th. And I'm sure you know that of all of Mo's many accomplishments, and we're very excited to have him. He has contributed to CARMA before, and we're very excited to have him back. Mo, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hope
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, hope life is treating you well. So I always like to start with people with, how did you get interested in organizational research, and particularly what forces shaped your interest in research methods?
So I was a psychology major in college. So in college, I was in two research labs. One is a cognitive and behavioral science, and the other is actually industrial organizational psychology lab. So I participated in both labs, done a bunch of research as an undergraduate. Yeah, I really liked the IO psychology research, especially given it has real world implications. And you can see your application pretty quickly. So that to me, like the instant feedback is quite nice, right? Because we want to do research to be useful to the society, right? So that's why I'm interested in the organizational research. And then when I was doing my PhD program at the Bowling Green State University, I actually did a quantitative psychology minor in PhD. So it was directed by Dr. John Tisak. So a lot of people may not be familiar with the name, but he actually was one of the founder of the longitudinal analysis methods.
Yeah.
And then my IO psychology PhD advisor is actually Mike Zicker. So he actually studies measurement. He came from the lineage of Fritz Strassel, right? So a lot of like item response theory, measurement application. So I basically like had a lot of training in research methods, and actually it's quite useful training, I would say, because then it allows you to tackle a lot of new research questions. So that's how my interest in organizational research methods started. So.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to hear you describe kind of this merging, a lot of your work representing this merging between your interest in measurement and longitudinal types of processes. One of the things that I like to share with people who are viewing CARMA and participating in CARMA events, who may only think about our presenters or our instructors because of their methods interest, but nearly everybody also has a balance of substantive interest. And Mo, in your case, we could put it in the context of work, aging, and retirement, which is the journal that, in fact, you are the founding editor. And I just was you've had plenty of editorial experience with our mainstream journals. But so how did being a founding editor of a journal, how is that similar and how is that different from the challenges you faced being in your other editorial roles?
So I guess for the mainstream journal, you're referring to Journal of Applied Psychology, right? So I was an associate editor for that journal for 10 years. It was a lot of work. So then during that time, I actually founded this one, the Work, Aging, and the Retirement. And the difference between the operations is, first of all, the role is different, right? So as a founding editor, you're actually in charge of setting up the journal with the publisher, right? So you have to take care of the financial operation most of the time. You also need to gather, put together like associate editor team, right? And then put together editorial boards. So yeah, so that was the different role between the editor in chief versus associate editor. Because for associate editor, mainly you're just managing manuscripts, right? So when manuscript get assigned to you, so you try to find the best reviewers who can review it. And then you try to be very hands-on in terms of guiding the authors through the editorial process. Yeah, so the editor-in-chief role is a little bit different. I would say it's the work is more about the journal's operation rather than like on the manuscript side. And then another difference is like the Journal of Applied Psychology is a mainstream journal in our field, right? For OB, for org psych. So more or less, you're not worrying about like people sending something that is totally in the left field, right? So, but for work, aging, and retirement, it's obviously an interdisciplinary journal, right? So we actually serve large communities, not just psychology, but also sociology, right, gerontology, management, but labor economics, right? Sometimes also people from nursing school, they also submit manuscripts. So actually I have to have a multidisciplinary team handle those manuscripts. So a lot of it is try to help people communicate better and for different fields to see the value of other fields' work. So yeah, so far, like I think I'm doing well, but just it has very unique challenges as it's not a single discipline journal. So
Yeah. Well, there must be a variety of methodological issues that you encounter in that particular role, but also a variety of substantive interests that get reflected in the papers that come your way. And so for kind of personal reasons, I've become interested in the different perceptions that older employees have of younger employees and younger employees have of older employees. And there must be some work that's done within your area that speaks to those concerns. So what can you share with us about, for example, the normal misunderstandings that younger employees have of older, or vice versa?
Yeah, so there's a big literature about age stereotype, age discrimination in the workplace. So I'm not gonna try to do a recap, but to me, like I think what I see in the literature and I'm quite interested in is actually younger employees. They oftentimes do not realize, hey, one day they will become older employee. So actually this kind of yeah, because age is a thing, like everyone is going to go through that lifespan, right? So it's not a demographic. It is a demographic variable, but it's not a demographic category, right? So people talk about younger people versus older people, but actually eventually everyone will become older. Right? So basically if you have a lot of bias against the older people, well, just think about this. Eventually, you're going to be in that category as well. So this is really the paradox of age stereotype and age bias, because everyone going to end up there. So yeah, so more and more, like in my research, I'm taking a social mindfulness approach. So try to get people to take others' perspective. So this has been used in some recent work I've done in looking at how older worker and the younger worker interact with each other, right? So basically help people to take perspective, to help people to develop empathetic concerns. And then I think another thing to pay attention to is younger workers do need to understand that older workers have different priorities. comparing to them, right? So according to the social emotional selectivity theory, right? So younger workers, their lifespan development task focus more on the growth, right? How to improve knowledge, how to improve skills, right? To achieve accomplishments. Yeah, but then for older workers, for older adults, actually, the life priority often focus on gaining positive emotional experience, right? So actually, having better understanding about each other's priority can avoid a lot of conflict in reality. So yeah, so those are like some things like I recently paid a lot of attention to. So.
Well, and it must be also like so much of the work that we do, our thinking and the research impacted by COVID and the health consequences and those differential impacts on younger employees versus older employees. You must see a lot of work coming in related to that particular topic as well.
Yeah, definitely. We actually recently sociologists. So we published a paper from sociologists looking at like how people's turnover and job loss change change depending on their age. So then it's very interesting that this is a place you really should look at the age by racial intersections. Right. So basically, we actually found that during the pandemic, right, so the minority older people are more likely impacted and more likely to lose job comparing to the majority groups of older people. And then, but in total, actually younger people in general are more likely to hold on jobs than older people in any case. So yeah, so those are like so age is just one variable, right? So we really should look at the intersections between age and the other demographic variables.
So Mo, in addition to your various editorial work that we've been discussing, you must be very excited about taking on your role within the Psyop leadership track. And so tell me about what excites you the most about stepping into that type of responsibility?
Wow, thank you for the opportunity. So actually, given the post-pandemic life, so actually, my work with Psyop is going to focus on like facing the challenges and the opportunities brought by this new world and also new era. Right, new era is hey, this is a post-pandemic. Actually, people's work life have been like profoundly altered because of the pandemic, right? Before pandemic, like if there's no pandemic, it will be very unthinkable, like for people even to do a lot of remote work.
Yeah.
Right. So we know like there are people doing that here and there, but that's not a norm. But nowadays it's becoming a norm. Right. So that's a new era, right? New world, right? So because of pandemic, right? So actually the communication, right? Travel becomes so difficult. Right. So there is this trend of like, oh, maybe the world is not gonna be like the globalization trend may not continue like it was before. Right. So you're more likely to have this like divide between countries, right? And also a lot of political values and also the work practices actually colliding, right, between different cultures and different countries. So yeah, so I think for IO people, we need to look for these things as challenges, but also use them as opportunities, right? Because we are science-based discipline. Right? So we should focus on applying our science to help better meet those challenges and thrive with those opportunities. So yeah, so that's actually going to be my focus for the Psyop.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you are facing unique. You taking over and being involved at this particular time is a very unique time in our history, and I can get a sense of why you feel so positive, and I hope that you can be successful in helping science play a role in how we do things.
Yeah.
Finally, Mo, as I mentioned at the beginning,
Mhm.
you're one of the reasons we're chatting is because we're looking forward to your upcoming webcast on April the
Mhm.
8th.
Mhm.
Can you give our viewers a quick summary of what you're going to be talking about?
Oh, okay. So, on April 8th, I'm gonna report a study, a new method that we recently developed to detect heterogeneity in meta-analysis effect sizes. So, a lot of people who know my work knows like I've always done some mixture methods, right? So latent class analysis, right? Gross mixture modeling, right? So I'm actually pretty um, I'm pretty attracted to the idea that, hey, what we see in the world is actually not just one distribution. It's actually a collection of distribution bundled together, right? So a lot of my research is on actually disentangle those kind of heterogeneity. For the study I want to report, I'm going to report it's actually on a study of detecting heterogeneity in meta-analysis effect sizes. So most people are familiar with testing moderators in meta-analysis, right? However, the issue is to test moderators in meta-analysis, most time you need to identify the moderators first. That's not easy, right? Because a lot of time you don't have pre-theory coming in, right? So a priori theory coming in to actually say, hey, this variable is a moderator, that variable is not a moderator. That's not easy, right? So basically the work we did on this method, we actually leverage machine learning methods to actually help us to detect the subcomponents of effect sizes in a seemingly general distribution of meta-analysis effect sizes. Well, I will preserve the technical detail for my talk. But the good thing with that method is it's actually quite powerful. It doesn't rely on a lot of assumptions, and it addresses a lot of issues that traditional moderator testing in meta-analysis that have. So I'm actually looking forward to share that method with our CARMA audience.
Yeah, well, we are very excited as well. And again, that's April the 8th. Mo Wang will be talking about mixtures and meta-analysis. Mo, thanks for taking the time to chat this afternoon, and we'll very much look forward to your webcast. Take care and stay safe until then.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry.